Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So, the Lost Caverns of Ixalan spoiler season is finally here, and well, we've got some crazy spoilers already, and one that jumped out to me right away. So without further ado, let's jump into it with a potentially broken effect on a commander with Ojer Taq, Deepest Foundation. Let's just go with Ojer, OT. Let's go with OT. That's easier for me. A 6/6 god with vigilance that costs 4 white. It says, if one or more creature tokens would be created under your control, 3 times that many of those tokens are created instead. When it dies, return to the battlefield, tapped and transformed under its own control. And I might have mentioned that it has vigilance. I forgot to mention that. Regardless, it flips over into the Temple of Civilization, a land that can tap for a white or pay 2 and a white, tap, transform it. Activate all of you attack with 3 or more creatures this turn in only as a sorcery. So this is, well, a god that you can keep getting back again and again and again. Quite easily, in fact. Again, that's a pretty low requirement. Again, attack you with only 3 or more creatures this turn. Very easy to do, especially with a commander that, again, gives you triple tokens. Essentially, you just need to make 1 token, and then you make 3, and then you've got your 3, and then you can attack to bring it back if it ever gets dealt with. So this is a commander that can be really, really hard to deal with. It can be one that can just catapult you way ahead of your opponents again with all those creature tokens. This is the first time that we are seeing 3 times tokens. Now, I will say that I am very glad that Wizards limited it to just creature tokens. This would have been really crazy if it was any kind of token. Again, especially, well, treasures, because treasures are already inherently kind of broken in many ways. And doubling effects with those are just crazy, and now a tripling effect would be crazier. And so we are seeing, well, tripling the actual creature tokens, which is great, limited to just, again, creature tokens, which is fantastic. That being said, yeah, there are still many broken and crazy things that you can do with this. A token tripler I did not expect to see on a commander, really, but here we are. So a very crazy effect. Now it is limited to mono white, which is still arguably the weakest color, but one that is great when it comes to token strategies, and one that can, well, just be absolutely absurd with this. So yeah, I can see this being a very popular commander for players out there that love creature tokens. And of course, this is a card that is a slam dunk in basically any creature token deck out there that can, well, probably afford it because, well, afford the spot in at number 1, but also afford it because this is a mythic and it's probably going to be pretty expensive, but we shall see. Regardless, speaking of expensive and inexpensive, on this episode, I'm going to be taking you through the budget buys and price your picks. Budget buys are cards that are less than $1, price your picks cards that are more than $1, so cards that you might want to consider for this brand new exciting commander. With all that said, let's jump into them. First up, let's talk about the budget buys. We're going to start things off with a very simple one. Castle Ardenvale, a card that really doesn't take up a spot in your deck at all, especially in a mono-white build. Enters battlefield tap unless you control any planes. Yeah, if you've got a good amount of planes in the deck, chances are likely this is coming into play untapped, and then it taps for a white right away, and also pay 2 white, tap, make a 1/1 white human creature token. So again, 4 mana, well, kind of like 5 mana, because you are tapping this land as well. 5 mana for a 1/1, not great, but actually, hey, if you got the extra mana, utilize it. That being said, with this brand new commander, yeah, 5 mana for 3 1/1s, fantastic. So yeah, this can just change the math a lot on things. Already a game-ending card. Call the Copper Coats. Oh my goodness, already a crazy card. Instant for 3 mana, strive, cost of 1 and a white, extra for each opponent, essentially. Choose any number of target opponents, you get X 1 and white human soldier creature tokens or X number of creatures those opponents control. Okay, so again, let's just say that your opponents have 20 creatures in total in play, which is definitely reasonable. I mean, again, as a game of Commander, let's say 20. Again, just making 20 tokens out of nowhere for 7 mana, instant speed right before your turn, that's already a very, very, very powerful thing and potentially game-ending. But now with this new math, yeah, I've got this commander in play. I make 60 tokens. You are essentially, again, tripling up the amount of their armies and saying, yeah, I've got 3 times as many creatures as you, plus whatever creatures I already have in play. Absolutely crazy. Moving on, White Sun Zenith in a smaller way, but still a giant way. X, white. Instant speed, you make X to 2 white creature cat creature tokens, and then you can shuffle this into Solar's library. Basically, a repeatable effect that you can get multiple times in a game, potentially. Regardless, you might only need 1 time to actually, again, put, say, like, 10 mana into that X or whatever later in the game. Instant speed right before your turn. You're making 10 cats usually. Now you're making 30. 30 2/2s. That can also, of course, win you the game. Or how about, a more, seasoned approach, a more, thought out approach, one that's just, over time. Let's just get some tokens into play. Felidar Retreat enchantment. Whenever a land is about to control, you make a 2/2, or you also get counters on your creatures and you give them vigilance on turn. Yeah, so what you're going to be doing essentially is just over time getting lands into play, and instead of making 1 2/2, you make 3. Absolutely absurd. Again, with every single land coming into play, if you've got, of course, like Burnished Heart, Wayfarer's Bauble to get more lands into play, yeah, you can accelerate that even faster and get pretty absurd. And of course, yeah, when you want to start growing those creatures, give them vigilance, do that. Grease and Devotion, very simple spell. 5 mana, make 5 1/1s. Except now with this commander, it's make 15 1/1s for this 5 mana. Also, if you flash it back out of your graveyard for 9 mana, you're going to be making 10 instead. So instead of making 30 for 9 mana, yeah, again, this really changes the math on just, well, how much value you are getting. So yeah, triple is just crazy. Of course, I have to bring up, of course, Mirror Battlesphere. If you've got like an ETB with this one that you can maybe use and abuse, maybe use some other ETB effects, you got plenty of ways to do that in mono white. Enters the battlefield, you make 4 1/1s. Cool. So all of a sudden, instead of it being 4, you're making 12. And yeah, also there's like an attack trigger that you can tap those mirror, and then you can pump it and also hit the player basically that you are attacking with that damage. So yes, this can actually get pretty absurd, especially again when it comes to ETB. So some pretty crazy things can happen. Moving on, let's just also consider some populate effects as well. A great one comes on Rootborn Defenses. Populate, creature you control indestructible this turn. So again, your commander is already very hard to deal with, because if your opponents deal with it, you can just flip it again very, very easily. That being said, yeah, protect it with this. Again, creatures you control indestructible, you're protecting your entire team. And also populate, so instead of making 1 creature token, you are making 3. Again, populate means, take one of your creature tokens and make an extra copy of it. But yeah, making it 3 times the value, that is absurd. Speaking of absurd, Tangible Virtue, a great enchantment. Again, you've got a lot of great Anthem effects in mono white. Creature tokens you control get +1 and vigilance. Yeah, swing out with your tokens and, yeah, just have fun with that. Or, make them even deadlier with Dictated Filiad. Again, a lot of these tokens that you're making are probably 1/1s. Make them 3 times as powerful. Again, we're making 3 times as many. Now let's make them 3 times as powerful. Dictated Filiad, flash it in, creature control +2/+2. Plenty of ways to surprise, finish off your opponents with a commander like this. But now we've talked about the budget buys. Let's move on to the pricier picks. Again, cards that are outside of my budget, outside of $1, but they might be within your budget. And of course, the first one that came to mind is Annoyed Procession. But in fact, create 1 more tokens under your control, creates twice that many of those tokens instead. So yeah, a true token doubler that says, I don't care what the token is. If it's a treasure or whatnot, I'm making double the tokens. But yes, again, when it comes to creature tokens, doubling and then tripling, yeah, that can be pretty absurd and pretty obnoxious. Speaking of which, Mondrak Glory Dominus. Essentially, hey, if you've got a Mondrak deck, this brand new card goes right into that one, or this one goes into a Mondrak deck, most likely. Mondrak Glory Dominus, if 1 of our tokens created under control, twice the many created instead, basically Annoyed Procession on a potential commander or card in the 99. And also this can become indestructible by sacrificing some tokens, I should say artifacts in our creatures, but probably tokens that you made. So basically, yeah, again, this card is fantastic in the new deck, in the new commander, and then the new commander is pretty much fantastic in this one, depending on your strategy. If there's no creature token making that strategy, then maybe not consider it, but still. Next up, speaking of a creature token maker that is pretty expensive and pretty fantastic, Luminarch Ascension. Basically, at each opponent's end step, if you didn't lose life this turn, you get a quest counter on this. This is harder to achieve in one-on-one, also pretty easy to achieve, though, in Commander, because you've got 3 opponents. So if your opponents each aren't making you lose life, you can very easily get counters on this. And when you do, hey, you can also make a 4/4 Angel for just 2 mana. 1 in a white, you get a 4/4 Angel with flying if it's got 4 more quest counters on it. So if once you get those 4, now instead of just getting 1 of those Angels, which is already fantastic, again, 2 mana for a 4/4 flyer, now you're paying 2 mana for 3 4/4 flyers. That is 12 total flying power across 3 bodies for just 2 mana. Your opponents are going to be gone in no time. Moving on, Airline Resplendent Cathar. Star 4 Vigilant power equal number of creatures you control. That's going to be massive with this commander, of course. But more importantly, whenever you attack for each opponent, you get a 1/1 human creature token that's tapped and attacking that player. Now you're getting 3. Now you are, instead of getting 3 every single time you attack with anything, you are getting 9. Again, assuming that you've got all your opponents. They might not be there because you're going to be taking them out quite quickly. Moving on, speaking of quick, Oketra's Monument, white creature spells you cast cost once to cast. That is a great effect, just reducing the cost of all your creature spells, which is fantastic. Also, though, whenever you cast a creature spell, you get a 1/1 Warrior with Vigilance. Now, instead, again, it's going to be 3. So the amount of value this can give you is just absurd throughout the game with this kind of a commander. I don't even want to get into the math on this, though. Helm of the Host. Okay. Best of luck if you want to do this, go for it. If you have common in your turn, create a token's copy of equipped creature, except the token that isn't legendary. If the equipped creature is legendary, token gains haste. If you make copies of your commander, this is just going to be absurd. Good luck keeping track of all that. Have fun with all that math. absolutely crazy. So yeah, if you got the budget for it and you can get this to work, good luck to your opponents. Moving on, Myral's Shield of Argive. During your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate those artifact creatures and enchantments. That's lovely. Just be able to protect your things. On top of that, though, when this attacks, you get X 1/1 color soldier artifact creature tokens X number soldier control. We've already talked about a lot of soldier token makers. This is a soldier itself, essentially, obviously. And now you get to basically, instead of doubling up your like a lot, again, double, triple, you are making an absurd amount of creature tokens. This just gets quite out of control. Speaking of out of control, though, Divine Visitation. If you want to go in a different direction, this is obviously a non-bow with this in my role, but you might not run into that anyways. One or more creature tokens are created under your control. That many 4/4 white angel creature tokens are created instead with Flying and Vigilance. So now instead of just making those little 1/1s with a lot of the token makers that you have, you're making an army of flying angels that are also vigilant. So yeah, that can be great. Again, this isn't going to add to your amount of creature tokens. It's just going to adjust what they're going to be. Moving on, I can believe Song of the World Soul is now, let's see, $8.71. I love this card. I remember when it was budget friendly. It is an incredible card. Wizards, reprint it, please. Whenever you cast a spell, populate. A crazy cool card. Oh my goodness. So basically now, every single time you cast any spell, again, with your commander in play, you are making 3 times as many creatures. You're just like, oh, cast a spell. Okay, cool. Instead of populating for just 1 creature, oh, cool. I get to basically get 3 tokens of that creature. This can get out of control. This can get absurd. I love this card. Wizards, reprint it, please. Finally, another anthem that is fantastic. Eldrazi Monument. You can afford this one. I mean, maybe not cost-wise, but you can afford its effect. Creature control get +1/+1, have flying and indestructible. Beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice creature. If you can't, sacrifice it. So basically, hey, your army is now slightly bigger. Again, with those little 1/1s now, they're twice as large. They have flying, so they're evasive. They also have indestructible, so they're going to be incredibly hard to deal with, including your commander, which is fantastic. And again, since the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice creature. Sure. Why not? Again, I've got so many creatures, it does not matter. If you make 1 creature token, you've got 3 again instead, and basically 3 turns to just sacrifice those. So yeah, you are absolutely in a fantastic position with this in your commander. But now this episode is coming to a close. It's my turn to hear from you on your thoughts on this brand new, exciting, and incredibly powerful commander. Yeah, this one's going to cause some problems. This is going to make an absurd amount of tokens, again, as a commander, and also in the 99 of creature token decks. This is just going to be a slam dunk for those. We shall see exactly how expensive this one is going to be, though. Again, it is a mythic, and again, players out there love creature tokens. Creature token builds are one of the most popular builds out there. Players love Annoy Procession. Players love cards like, Doubling Season, cards that can actually double up, and now this is our first official tripling token. Again, I am so glad that they specified creature token, because this would have been very obnoxious in combination with, Smothering Tithe and whatnot. So yes, a very, very, very good card. A crazy start to spoiler season. Of course, make sure you're staying tuned for even more exciting spoilers and quick takes coming up. If you are interested in any of the cards I mentioned on this episode, make sure you check out that card list link in the description below. And with all that said, of course, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.